What life was really like in the Wild West. Introduction. The Wild West has become one of the most romanticized eras in American history, a land of rugged cowboys, lawless towns, gunfights at high noon, and daring outlaws. But how much of that is myth, and what was life really like on the western frontier? In this video, we explore the true daily life of settlers, cowboys, Native Americans, outlaws, and pioneers beyond the Hollywood version, and reveal a world that was far more complex, diverse, and often harsh than you might expect. 1. When and where was the Wild West? The Wild West refers to the American frontier during the 19th century, especially from 1865 to 1895, just after the Civil War and before the U.S. Census officially declared the frontier closed. It stretched from the Mississippi River to the Pacific coast, including modern-day Texas, Kansas, Colorado, Montana, Arizona, California, and beyond. This was a time of massive expansion, land grabs, railroad building, gold rushes, and violent conflict. 2. Settlers and pioneers. Life for settlers moving west was anything but glamorous. Most families traveled in wagons, faced dangerous terrain, disease, weather, and lack of supplies. Homesteaders, under the Homestead Act of 1862, could claim land, but had to live on and farm it under tough conditions. They built log cabins, dug wells, plowed dry soil, and dealt with dust storms, blizzards, and locust plagues. Settlements were isolated. Towns often lacked schools, doctors, or law enforcement. Community meant survival. Neighbors helped one another build homes, harvest crops, and defend against threats. 3. Cowboys and cattle drives. Contrary to myth, cowboys were mostly young men, many in their teens or early 20s. They were often African American, Mexican vaqueros, or Native American, not just white ranch hands. Their job? Move thousands of cattle across long trails, like the Chisholm Trail, to railheads in Kansas for shipment east. Life on the trail meant 16-hour workdays, sleeping on the ground, risking stampedes, river crossings, rattlesnakes, and bandits. Cowboys didn't fight duels daily. They were mostly too tired. Gunfights were rare, but could happen over cheating, cattle theft, or alcohol. 4. Women in the Wild West. Women played a major role as homesteaders, ranchers, teachers, saloon owners, and even sharpshooters like Annie Oakley. Pioneer women worked the land, raised children, hunted, and protected their homes. Some became businesswomen in mining towns or ran boarding houses. Others fought for women's rights. The West was the first region where women gained the right to vote, Wyoming in 1869. Life was hard, but women were far from helpless. Many were central to survival and community building. 5. Native American life and conflict. For Native American tribes, westward expansion brought tragedy. As settlers pushed west, they displaced and often violently clashed with indigenous peoples. Tribes like the Apache, Sioux, Cheyenne, Comanche, and Nez Perce fought to protect their lands in a series of wars. The U.S. government broke treaties, forced tribes onto reservations, and used military force, culminating in massacres like Wounded Knee, 1890. Despite these hardships, Native Americans retained cultural traditions and resisted assimilation. Their story is one of survival, not just loss. 6. Gold rushes and boomtowns. From California in 1849 to Deadwood, South Dakota, and Tombstone, Arizona, gold and silver discoveries triggered mass migrations. Boomtowns popped up overnight, full of miners, gamblers, saloons, and merchants. Lawlessness reigned until towns appointed sheriffs or marshals. Some became ghost towns when the mines dried up. The Wild West's legendary outlaws and gunfighters, like Billy the Kid, Jesse James, and Wild Bill Hickok, often lived in these high-risk, fast-money towns. 7. Law and order. Not so simple. There was law in the West, just not always reliable. Towns had marshals and sheriffs, but justice could be slow, and vigilante groups often took the law into their own hands. Public hangings, posses, and duels were real, but not as common as Western movies suggest. Most towns were more concerned with keeping peace than having shootouts. In fact, places like Dodge City banned guns in town limits. 8. Railroads and technology. The building of the Transcontinental Railroad, completed in 1869, was a game-changer. It connected the east and west coasts, boosted trade, and accelerated migration. It also made the delivery of goods and communication faster. But it also cut through Native American lands and led to massive cultural disruption. Other technologies, like the telegraph, barbed wire, and steam engines, helped tame the West, but also ended its wildest days. 9. Diversity in the West. The Wild West wasn't just white settlers and outlaws. It was also built by Black Americans, including freed slaves and Buffalo Soldiers, Chinese immigrants, who built much of the railroad, Mexican ranchers and vaqueros, who influenced cowboy culture, Native American tribes, many of whom were displaced but resisted. It was a melting pot of cultures, sometimes clashing, sometimes cooperating, and it shaped the American identity in powerful ways. 10. End of an era. By the 1890s, the U.S. government declared the frontier closed. Railroads connected the coasts. Towns became cities. Territories became states. The Wild West wasn't so wild anymore. It had become part of the nation. But the legends lived on, in books, dime novels, and eventually Hollywood films, often exaggerating or sanitizing the past. The real Wild West was harder, grittier, and far more diverse than most stories tell. Conclusion. The Wild West wasn't just about gunslingers and saloons. It was about survival, struggle, ambition, and resilience. It was built by people of all backgrounds, living in a time of great change and great risk. By understanding what life was really like, we gain a clearer picture of how the American frontier helped shape the modern United States.